In this how-to, we're going to start looking at how we start coding using Visual Basic 2008. What we're going to do with our calculator is when we click the plus button here, we're going to change this plus sign to red, the background colour of this text box here to red, the background colour of this one to red, and also this label which is hidden here where our answer will eventually go. We'll change that one to red as well. Now some of the things we were going to change we can do from the properties window over here, but we're just going to try and do it a different way now by clicking this add button here. So to start coding, what we need to do is double click the button which is going to create the event to make it all happen. So here we go. Now, as can be seen, the button is called BTN add. This is why it's important to have meaningful names. All our code for this now will be placed between the private sub and the end sub. So, to change the colour of the font on the button, what we have to do first is identify the control which we're wanting to work with, then look at the property, and then change it to what we want it to be, in our case red. So let's start by doing that. The control we want is BTN add. If we start typing it, we can see from a drop down list all the controls that are on that screen. Now if we hit the full stop or a period point next, it will give us the opportunity to change many of the properties. Let's go for fore color, double click that one, and we want to change it to red. So if we make it equal to, now if we just type R, it gives us red here to select, so let's go for that one. Great, job done. Right, let's try running this code. To do that, we can click on the green play button here to start the debugging, or we could, if we wanted to, go to the menu and click debug and start debugging. Let's do that. Okay, in a few seconds it will compile the form. There we go, and we're ready to go. So let's click this plus button. Great, so the event which has happened is to change the font to red, and as we can see, that's been done. Right, let's go back to the code and look why that happened. So let's just close this form down here. Right, with our code, as we said earlier, we've got to look for the control we want to work with, put the period point in. If we've got the control name correctly, we'll see a drop down list of properties that we can do with this control. We wanted to work with the fore color, so we selected that and we made it equal to the color red. The next very important thing that we must do, and we must do this with all coding, and that's to add comments. So let's just make a little space. Now the comments are done by clicking the apostrophe sign, which is that one, and then just typing in what we want what the meaning for the actual code. And this one changes the font of the button to red. Okay, so whenever we want to come back and refer to this in the future, we can see exactly what it does. You can see that it's written in green. This means that when it's compiled, the actual text here will be ignored. If we take this apostrophe sign away, you can see that it changes back to black with some keywords highlighted in blue. The program will now think this is code and will get build errors. So let's put the apostrophe back in. There we go. Now all we have to do is do the rest of the controls and change them to the background of red, as we said earlier. Okay, so now we've written the code for the rest of the controls. Put comments in, so we can see that this section is changing the background of the text boxes to red. If I can just spell that correctly. There we go. So we're referring to the control here, the text box number 1. The property is back color, and we want to make it red. This section of code here changes the label called answer, which is going to display our answer, and it's going to change the back color to red. Let's run the code and see what happens. So here we go. Click the green play button. Form should appear, and here we go. We'll click the button. Great. The plus sign here has changed to red. The background color of the label has turned to red, and the background color of the text boxes have turned to red. So our code is working really well. Let's close this down. So what we've learned in this one is how to create the control, refer to the control with the property, and set what we want to set it to, i.e. in this case red color. This one, the back color for the text number 1, the text box number 2, we've also changed the back color to red, and finally the label called answer, we've changed the back color to red as well. That concludes this how to.